Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we're here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 4, Text 4. Aham Chokto Bhagavata Prapanarti Harenaha Vadarim Tvam Parahiti Svakulam Sanji Hirshuna. The Lord is the vanquisher of the distresses of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Bhadrakasharama. Purport. While at Dwarka, Uddhava was warned to avoid the distresses which were to follow the disappearance of the Lord and the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. He was advised to proceed to Bhadrakasharama because there he could associate with devotees like Narayana, and in their association of devotional service, he could increase his eagerness for chanting, hearing, knowledge, and detachment. Text 5. Tatapi tad abhipretam janam aham arindama prastato nvagamam bhartu Padavishleshanakshmaha. Yet, in spite of my knowing his desire to destroy the dynasty, O Arindama, Vidura, I followed him because it was impossible for me to bear separation from the lotus feet of the Master. Text 6. Adraksham ekam ashinam Vichinvandayatam patim Sriniketam sarasvatyam Kritaketam aketanam. Thus following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Sri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. Purport. Those who are in the renounced order of life often take shelter underneath a tree. The Lord was found by Uddhava in that condition of taking shelter, as do persons who have no shelter. Because he is the proprietor of everything, everywhere is his shelter, and everywhere is under his shelter. The entire material and spiritual cosmic manifestation is sustained by him, and therefore he is the shelter of everything. So there is nothing astonishing in his taking shelter in the way of the unsheltered who are in the renounced order of life. Text 7. Shamavadatam virajam Prashantaruna lochanam Dorbis chaturbir vidatam Pita kaushambarena cha. The Lord's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful, and they are reddish like the rising morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his 4 hands, different symbolic representations, and yellow silk garments. Text 8. Vamha urav adishritya dakshinangiri saroruham apasritar bakhasvatam akarsham tyakta pipalam. The Lord was sitting, taking rest against a young banyan tree, with his right lotus foot on his left thigh, and although he had left all household comforts, he looked quite cheerful in that posture. Purport. According to Srila Visvanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Lord's sitting posture, keeping his back against the newly grown banyan tree, is also meaningful. Asvata, the banyan tree, is so called because the tree does not die very quickly. It continues to live for many, many years. His legs and their energies are the material ingredients, which are 5 in all: earth, water, fire, air, and sky. The material energies represented by the banyan tree are all products of his external potency and are therefore kept to his back. And because this particular universe is the smallest of all, the banyan tree is therefore designated as small or as a child. Chakta Pipalam indicates that he had now finished his pastimes in this particular small universe. But since the Lord is absolute and eternally blissful, there is no difference between his leaving or accepting something. The Lord was now prepared to leave this particular universe and go into another. Just as the sun rises on one particular planet and sets in another simultaneously, but does not change its own situation. Text 9. Tasmin Mahabhagavato Dvaipayana Suhutsaka Lokan Anu Charan Siddha Asasada Yadrichaya. At that time, after traveling in many parts of the world, Maitreya, a great devotee of the Lord, and a friend and well-wisher of the great sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, reached that spot out of his own perfect accord. Purport. Maitreya was one of the disciples of Maharishi Parasara, the father of Vyasadeva. Thus Vyasadeva and Maitreya were friends and mutual well-wishers. By some fortunate accident, Maitreya reached the place where Lord Sri Krishna was resting. To meet the Lord is not an ordinary incident. Maitreya was a great sage and a learned scholar philosopher, but not a pure devotee of the Lord, and therefore his meeting with the Lord at that time may have been due to agyata sukriti, or some unknown devotional service. Pure devotees always engage in pure devotional activities, and therefore their meeting with the Lord is natural. But when those who are not up to that standard meet the Lord, it is due to the unforeseen fortune of accidental devotional service. Text 10. Tasyanur raktasya munir mukundaha pramoda bhavanata kantarasya ashrinvato mam anuragahasa samikasya vishramayan uvacha. Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in a pleasing attitude with his shoulder lowered. With a smile and a particular glance upon me, having allowed me to rest, the Lord spoke as follows. Purport. Although both Uddhava and Maitreya were great souls, the Lord's attention was more on Uddhava because he was a spotlessly pure devotee. A Gyan Bhakta, or one whose devotion is mixed with the monistic viewpoint, is not a pure devotee. Although Maitreya was a devotee, his devotion was mixed. The Lord reciprocates with his devotees on the basis of transcendental love, and not on the basis of philosophical knowledge or fruitive activities. In the transcendental loving service of the Lord, there is no place for monistic knowledge or fruitive activities. The gopis in Vrindavan were neither highly learned scholars nor mystic yogis. They had spontaneous love for the Lord, and thus he became their heart and soul, and the gopis also became the heart and soul of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya approved the relationship of the gopis with the Lord as supreme. Herein, the Lord's attitude towards Uddhava was more intimate than with Maitreya Muni. Text 11. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Vedaham antar manas sipshitamte dadami yattad duravapam anyai satre pura vishvashrijam vashunam matsidhi kamena vasotvayeshta. O Vasu, I know from within your mind that you desired in the days of yore, when the Vasus and other demigods responsible for expanding the universal affairs performed sacrifices. You particularly desired to achieve my association. Portion of Uddhava was one of the 8 Vasus in the days of yore. The 8 Vasus and the demigods in the upper planetary system, who are responsible for the management of the universal affairs, performed a sacrifice in the days of yore, desiring to fulfill their respective ultimate goals in life. At that time, an expansion of Uddhava, acting as one of the Vasus, desired to become an associate of the Lord. The Lord knew this because he is present in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma, the super consciousness. In everyone's heart, there is the representation of the super consciousness who gives memory to the partial consciousness of every living entity. The living entity as partial consciousness forgets incidents of his past life, but the super consciousness reminds him how to act in terms of his past cultivation of knowledge. Bhagavad Gita confirms this fact in various ways. Ye yata mam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. Bhagavad Gita 4.11. Or sarvasya chaham freshani vishto matas matir jnanam apohanam cha. Bhagavad Gita 15.15. Everyone is at the liberty to desire as he likes, but the desire is fulfilled by the Supreme Lord. Everyone is independent to think or desire, but the fulfillment of one's desire depends on the Supreme Will. This law is expressed as man proposes, God disposes. In the days of yore, when the demigods and Vasus performed sacrifice, Uddhava, as one of the Vasus, desired to enter into the association of the Lord, which is very difficult for those busy in empiric philosophical speculation or fruitive activities. Such persons have practically no information of the facts about becoming an associate of the Lord. Only the pure devotee can know by the mercy of the Lord that the personal association of the Lord is the highest perfection of life. The Lord assured Uddhava that he would fulfill his desire. It appears that when the Lord informed him by his indication to Uddhava, the great sage Maitreya finally became aware of the importance of entering into the association of the Lord. Text 12. Saesha sadho charmo, Saesha sadho charamo bhavanam, asaditaste mad anugrahoyat, yan mam nralokan raha utrajantam, distya dadrishvan vishadhanuvritya. O honest one, your present life is the last and the supermost, because in this term of your life, you have been awarded my ultimate favor. Now you can go to my transcendental abode by Vaikuntha by leaving this universe of conditioned living entities. Your visit to me in this lonely place, because of your pure and unflinching devotional service, is a great boon for you. Purport. When a person is fully conversant with knowledge of the Lord, as far as can be known by a perfect living entity in the liberated state, he is allowed to enter into the spiritual sky, where the Vaikuntha planets exist. The Lord was sitting in a lonely place, just about to disappear from the vision of the inhabitants of this universe. And Uddhava was fortunate to see him even at that time, and thus receive the Lord's permission to enter Vaikuntha. The Lord is everywhere at all times, and his appearance and disappearance are merely the experience of the inhabitants of a particular universe. He is just like the sun. The sun does not appear or disappear in the sky. It is only in the experience of men that in the morning the sun rises and in the evening the sun sets. The Lord is simultaneously both in Vaikuntha and everywhere within and without Vaikuntha. Thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 13 on Wednesday. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Our glories to the assembled devotees, our glories to the worldwide devotees. Samabhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nrishangapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Jew Ki Jai. Ganga Mai, Amuna Mai Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai. Tulsi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yajna Ki Jai, Jai Scientific Sankirtan Yajna Ki Jai, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jai Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Jai Srimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Hari
Hari Hari. Sripad Krishna Keshav Prabhu Ki Jai.
Jai Gurudev. Dhanavad Pranam Didi.
Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu. Dhanavad.
Jai Krishna.